Getting a lot of questions about this TDI swap Cherokee every time I post a picture of it online. Some people are trying to build it. So I'm just going to start doing update posts with this thing whenever I can. It's kind of hard for me to film sometimes because, you know, when you're working on a diesel, you get all the stuff all over your hands, and I don't even want to touch my flashlight. But let me go ahead and I'll go grab my flashlight in a minute, speak of the devil. But so today's update, this had a front mount engine mount setup, and basically it utilized a hole down here, a hole up here, and this hole right here, just like the BRM or the BEW TDI engines do. This is a BHW, so it's not meant to be mounted like that, because it was mounted lengthwise in the car that it came out of, even though it was front wheel drive. But so it comes stock with side motor mounts, but they don't fit in a Jeep, obviously. So basically had to do that to get going from the get-go. I learned what the tilt was that I liked. I had to use these links that went across this bar, and that's the top mount. And there was just mounts or rubber hydraulic things that sat from here to the top bar. And those links went from the front of the bar to the front of the bar, and then you could kind of twist and adjust it and kind of get it to sit how you wanted it to. Anywho, that's just how it was set up originally, and it was great to get it going. I've been daily driving this for a year. Summer, fall, winter, spring, road trips, everything, without a problem. This bolt did break off in the early days, but other than that, it's been pretty good. So I have since added this accessory deal. Yes, I know the wiring's a mess. I'm getting to it. That accessory deal turns on like rock lights and stuff. So, anywho, that was today's big thing. I spent a good chunk of the day doing that. I'll have to get a flashlight for you to see. But this thing is silky smooth now. You get very little vibration through the chassis, which is great. And then I haven't rotated the tires on this in probably 15,000 miles, 20,000 miles. I try to do it every other oil change, which is every 5,000. So 5,000 miles every oil change. So every 10,000 miles, I try to rotate tires on my vehicle. And, you know, so I took them off because I'm rotating them. The paint was looking like crud. One of the wheels wasn't even painted. So making a mess of my gravel driveway and spray painted them real quick. Let these cure for as long as I can before I put them back on. And then tomorrow, once the paint's good and set after work, I'll pressure wash the spare paint off of the rubber. But yeah, these are just stock Jeep wheels, 31-inch tires, stock width. I like them. I want to go a little taller just to get my RPMs down. I repainted these rear quarter panels. This one, it was untouched. I just had to grind the rivets that held the stock clip thing off when I bought it. But this side was completely rusted out when I bought it. And you couldn't tell now if I pointed it out to you, but at least from this view. From this view, you can see I did some welding. But this whole chunk has been removed and welded back on. And I actually used this bend right here as my lap joint to weld. And then I ground it back into shape. And I mean, maybe if you like look really hard at it, but it you're not supposed to look really hard at anything aesthetic with this. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. I will let people know I was having some problems for a while where I would get like this stuttering where I would be like under acceleration or cruising and it felt like the motor would cut out and re-engage. I ended up changing my fuel filter as like a last resort after playing with a bunch of wiring that I thought it could have been, and it stopped. So if you're having a cutting out problem, swap your fuel filter. It might be starving. I haven't done any kind of diesel purge on this. I need to. And for those who don't know, you basically take the to and return line off of your engine and you run it through like a jug of this stuff called diesel purge, and you let your engine run on it for a while, and it knocks a bunch of the crud loose out of the injectors in the pump. Basic maintenance I haven't done. I need to do it. But yeah, other than that, we've put, 25,000 miles on this in just over a year, and it hasn't skipped a beat. That's not true. It has skipped beats. I had a struggle, I just remembered. This transfer case, 242. I had to take it in and put it out about 9 times in 1 week because winter snow was coming, and I was trying to figure out how to get it to work because whenever you would load up the motor, it would pop out of gear. Excuse my sweaty face, but basically what was happening was I had a shift linkage delete deal where it just takes the rod from the shifter and it puts it straight to the shifter on the transmission, and you can like adjust the length of it to get it to behave correctly. But the problem is with diesel motors and hydraulic mounts that you have to use to get them to not shake your chassis, it allows the motor to rotate, and when you allow your motor to rotate, that linkage tugs on the shifter on the transfer case, and it'll cause you to pop out. And I'm sure a lot of the hardcore off-roaders are like, yeah, duh, but you know, this is my third Jeep that I've had. First one was just a JK stock, sold it, junk. Second one was a right-hand drive Cherokee. It was cool, but I wanted a newer model because it was the early model Cherokee, and I wanted a TDI swap one, and right-hand drive sucks. So bought this one, towed it home with the other one, sold it for a good deal to a postal person, and then built this up. But this is the first aftermarket build Jeep that I've done. Other stuff was just restoration or ownership. So yeah, for those of you who don't know, you can get, I can't remember the name of the company, but it's called a cable shifter, and basically it's just like a brake line on a bike or a cable shifter on a motorcycle, and it goes from it bolts to your chassis, and then your shifter moves the cable in and out, and then since it flexes, it goes to your transfer case, and your transfer case, the other end of the cable goes to your transfer case shifter, and there's like all sorts of length adjustments and stuff. But the cool thing with that is it's meant to flex, and you know, you're not changing the length of the cable when the motor rotates, so you can have motor rotation and not have to worry about it popping out of whatever drive scenario that you have. But I kept swapping the transfer case because I thought something was wrong with it, and then I sloppily rebuilt one late at night in my last crappy job, and like before, let me rephrase that. I sloppily rebuilt it after changing my slip yoke eliminator shaft from one transfer case over to another one because I thought my other one was junk. And basically what happened was I rushed it because I had work the next day, and I drove it that Friday, that Saturday, and then I got home, didn't go anywhere Sunday, and then Monday morning I tried to back out of my garage, and it felt like I was trying to roll over something, so I needed to go. So I just put my foot to the floor and basically split my transfer case shell in half. And what had happened was I didn't set the oil pump tube in the slot that it goes in, and the oil pump pickup tube from the transfer case had gotten between the chain and the secondary gear set, and when it got sucked in there, it basically, you know, changed the length of the gears, tugged on the chain, and then split the case. So I had to skip work that day, pull the transfer case out, swap it over to the original transfer case, because at that point I had figured out nothing was wrong with the first one, put it back in, and then I did my rear main seal after I put it in. That, I mean, it was just a mess. But that was really the biggest struggle that I had with this Jeep since, you know, day one. This thing is 8/8 swap too, and this has been a great swap. This thing hasn't given me any trouble. The only thing that could use adjusting is the brakes. I think the proportioning valve in this needs to be removed. And I guess I'll throw this bit of info in there too, in case you don't know. You know, rear drum brakes takes less brake pressure to make them actuate. So inside of this situation, there's basically like a check valve, and one set of line, the two front set of lines go to the side, the one on the rear goes to the back, or one of them goes to the back. And the one that goes to the back flows through like a flow restriction check valve deal, and it basically only allows so much fluid to go to the rear versus the front. And if you take that check valve out of the you can basically have even braking power to all four, and then you can get a valve that's an adjustable proportioning valve that allows you to restrict the rear brake fluid flow down to whatever it is that you need to restrict it to. But I haven't had the time of day to take that out, and it stops okay. It just, you can feel the rear end picking up a little bit because the front brakes are working a lot better. So that's on my to-do list. I got to do that when I have someone around for me to help bleed my brakes after I do that. And today was not going to be that day. So yeah, a little bit of TDI info and update for you guys. If you have questions about this thing, hit me up. I'm sure there's plenty of info out there, but I'm pretty active, so just ask questions. Make sure you tag me and make sure that I see it, and I will try to make a video for you to show you what I did. Yeah, peace.